All right. So today I would like us to discuss on identifying your core skills and services. Obviously, as you do know, I'm setting up this series to enlighten freelancers, or better still, my own journey, and enlighten everybody who are interested on my own journey as a freelancer. Okay. Um, Obviously, as a freelancer, you need to know what you are intending to bring into the market for people who are needing your services. In my own case, I am a software engineer, so I know how to develop websites, desktop applications, mobile applications, Android and iOS. So I would have to package my services as, for example, contact me to get your website done, or to get your Android app done, or to get your iOS app or desktop applications done. Okay, but that is from the software engineering angle. Now there is going to be for people that maybe design logos, maybe photographers that take pictures of people during wedding. There is also going to be freelancers for, let's say, front end people who are focusing more on doing the front end side of the development. Yeah. So there are so many things you can do freelancing on. Just check Fiverr and you'll see. But today, I'm not going to go the traditional route of telling you, for example, go and learn software engineering, or go and learn copywriting or marketing, advertising. Obviously, you need to learn all those things. And if you're about to enter into the freelance space, you need to be familiar with all those things. I'm going to enlighten you today on the skills that I had to learn to make my freelancing much more better. Right now, some of the skills I had to learn are not the things that you are going to be taught in school. They are not taught to me in school. I had to learn it and figure it out as I was working. One of the most important ones is patience, right? So naturally, I think I am a very impatient person. I like to get things done quickly. I like to, once I start something, for example, okay, let me give you an example of what I do mean. Maybe it's not impatience, but I'm the kind of person that if a lecturer gives an assignment um, that is going to be submitted 2 weeks ago, let's say a big assignment, right? I'm going to wait till the night before we are to submit the assignment to do the assignment. It doesn't make sense, but I don't know why the thing is just, I don't know. I don't know why it is like that for me, right? And I've noticed this thing since primary school. It's not something that I just picked up in university. Maybe I just picked it up from primary school, secondary school, university. I'm like one of those guys that submit things dying minutes. Even if they say, okay, for example, you need to submit the assignment within a span of 1 week, okay, let's say from 2nd of May to 9th of May. So some of my classmates, for example, will be submitting it second, third, fourth. I'll be the person that will submit on 9. I'll, I'll be the person to submit on that last day. I'll just be watching movies because I'm a movie freak. I like to watch movies and TV shows. I'll just be watching TVs on my laptop back in school. That last day is the day I'll start the assignment and I'll submit the assignment. So in freelancing, you need patience to not really try and rush and do everything immediately. Like for example, if a client gives you a project to do, if you are expecting to do that project dying minute to submit that project, you have lost already, because you are just going to put yourself in crazy depression, because there is no you need to be patient enough to you know get the done, piece by the project piece by piece, right? um, and you need patience to hi this is why it's difficult, because sometimes these skills I'm trying to let you know, they are core skills, but explaining it sometimes I'm not really that good at explaining, but I know what I want to say in my head. Like that patience to deal with the client, to tell the client, please be patient, we are working on it, and that patience to actually work on it gradually is very, very important. So you don't need to. In fact, the patience has so many angles. For example, when working with some, you eventually meet some clients that are kind of hot-headed, right? That would even be the ones gingering you to get the project done as quickly as possible. And when you are setting the timeline, you need to believe in patience enough to say, okay, no, we are not going to rush this thing. We are going to take our time to get this thing. You cannot come and meet a client in the back of your head and they give you a project, for example, and you know that that project is going to take you 3 weeks, for example, and the client is telling you, why can't you do it in 1 week? How do we do it in 1 week? We really need this in 1 week. In 1 week. In 1 week. You need to have patience enough not to agree with him. One, two, you need to have patience enough to know how to pivot the discussion so that they see your perspective on why the project is going to take 3 weeks, right? The next skill you're going to need pivoting into that is communication, right? See, communication is a very, very important skill. In the hash one of this series, I actually mentioned about communication. Communication is kind of what broke a, let's say before I was earning 2 naira, 3 naira, 4 naira, right? When I decided to start communicating better, when I found out that, because I found it out, I did not get, I found it out by mistake, right? It's not like I watched a video somewhere and I saw that, oh, if you communicate better, you would do. No, it was by mistake. There was a client that spoke to me in a very, very good way. The client was humble and it felt like I was dealing with somebody that I already knew. And our communication was on top notch. And that project was amazing. Like I had fun on the project. It didn't even feel like work to me. And that was when I knew that, okay, maybe what was happening was that we both communicated better. We had a very good communication, you know. So I decided to employ that tactics moving forward, and I could see the difference in revenue, right? So communication is very important. You always need to, not just communication, but even tone of voice, right? Something as simple as tone of voice when you are communicating with the client can drastically improve how much you earn, your reputation. If you are working with a client, for example, and you are kind of one answer, yes, no, I don't know, yeah, this is the price. Yeah, my brother and my sister, that will just not help you at all. There's a way, if you communicate, you have to communicate like you are in the shoes of the client. For example, let's say they brought a website. Hey, we want to build a website for our exportation business. We want to know how we are going to be able to get it done. The first thing out of your mouth should not be, this is how much it's going to cost. No. You should first of all understand the business. Okay, you now be like, okay, what is this exportation business about? Can you give me an idea? How is this website going to help this business? Right? What is this website? There are some times when I communicate with a client, for example, and I'll figure out that they do not even need a website. Maybe what they just need is an Instagram page or a Facebook page. And building a website is a waste of time. And I'll tell them there is no need to do the website. And they are so happy. Some of those people have referred me to people that have paid me so much more than what I would have gotten if I did a website for them, right? So when you communicate, you should also know that sometimes it does not necessarily mean you are going to be the beneficiary from that relationship, yeah. Because the communication aspect means you want to figure out how what they are trying to do is going to generate revenue for them, and it's going to make their lives better. It may not even generate revenue, but it would make their lives better. For example, there was a client that reached out to me 2 years ago that was manually processing a lot of things in the business. So when he reached out to me, he was like he wanted to do a web application that will help him reduce it. But when I had to discuss with him further, because I wanted to know what the business is about, what he wants to use this web application to do, I found out that he was looking at it the wrong way. So I had to now restructure the project scope and told him that, hey, if you do it this way, it would automate the entire process of your business, and you are not going to need um, there is not going to be any manual process at all. Everything is automated, and you can even sleep for weeks. You can't without even looking at your business, and everything is going to be going on, and you'll be getting your reporting. What I presented to him was 3 times more in cost compared to what he presented to me. But he was so happy that I was able to take out time, communicate directly with him, figure out how he could save time, because his goal was to save time, not even to make money, and and build that business in such a way that everything is automated, and he paid for it. But if I did not really cool down to communicate better, to know what the business is about, what he wants to achieve, there is no way that I would have been able to triple that revenue coming into my business or as a freelancer. So communication is very important. There are some people that clients that have met me and told me, hey, well, let's say for example, because we are all humans, something can happen and you are not able to deliver a project on a specific timeline. And it is going to be wrong for you not to reach out to the client and say, hey, sorry, we are not able to deliver today. Something happened, this and this and this happened. Please, we'll deliver it to you tomorrow. Please don't be offended. That means you are a master of your craft. But I've gotten complaints from a lot of people that will tell me, as clients is in general, that will tell you that they nobody no message, nothing. They just it was as if they did not even give them a project, and the client would have to reach out and tell them what's going on with the project, and they will now say something like, "We are working on it." So you see that that communication is zero, and most times that client would not come back to 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 the person, right? So communication is very important on all angles, from the beginning of when they reach out to you for a project, to when you are working on the project, to even when you are done. Sometimes when I'm done with a project after a month, I would like to reach out and say, hi, how is the project going? Is everything going fine? Is there anything that we can do? In situations like that, sometimes they do pay for maybe if there's an extra feature, but they are so happy to know that, okay, I'm reaching out to figure out if there is something that can be done to improve the software. And remember, improving the software does not necessarily mean making the software a beast. No. Improving the software means making the software generate more money for them or save them more time. It's generally those two things. Most times when I've been in this business now, those are the two things most clients are looking for. Save time for them or processes, and improve their revenue, right? So if you are building the software to do any of those two things, right, you are always going to be on their best interest, because if you are saving time for somebody and you are generating revenue for somebody, you are going to be in their best interest, right? So these are skills. I've discussed patience now. I've also discussed communication as well. Now, the third one I want to discuss is when to charge. You have to know when to charge a client. It's actually a skill. It's not something to be taken for granted. If a client reaches out to you and you do notice that the client is maybe not serious, because you're going to meet a lot of people that that are just making inquiries. They are just trying to know how far. Maybe they are not yet certain they want to enter into the business. That is fine and good. Do not charge them or give them a cost at that time. Only give clients or potential clients cost when they have indicated full interest that they want to begin. Here's the reason why. If you give them a cost, sometimes they'll hold that cost against you. So I've had a situation where a client reached out to me and said he wants to do this and this. I gave him a cost. This is how it's going to cost. And the client waited for 6 months before he came back to me and said, okay, now he's ready to start the project. I told him, Oga, the prices have changed and it's not going to be, that cost is not going to be the cost currently. Because as a developer, our revenue is based on opportunity cost, not actually actual cost. I will explain that when we get to that part of the series. So um, he did not like it. He was not happy about it. But at the same time, even though it's not really in quotes my fault, I shouldn't have given him a cost then, right? That is one example of knowing when to charge. You should give a customer a cost when they are ready to pay after you have prepared your project proposal and everything, right? Now, the second time to know when to charge is when they, how do I explain this now? When you get a project and you guys have finalized on the scope of the project, right? You have discussed on what this project is going to entail, and you are now working on that project, and they bring in a new feature. Do not be scared to charge. This was one of my issues in the beginning. I was always worried, just paid, let me just do this. Do not be scared to charge, because that would set the tone moving forward in that project development, or in the project, in the span of when you are working on that project. Because the moment you get scared to charge and they notice that they can take advantage of you, which obviously, like I told you in video one, that would definitely happen, it gets worse. And people, human beings generally, they like to take advantage of people. you know it will get worse from there, and they'll start bringing up somebody wake up one day and tell you, I was when I was sleeping, I had an idea of what we can do to this project. A project that you guys have signed and started doing already, is now telling that when he was sleeping he had an idea of what he can do in the project. Can you imagine? So the moment they know that if they have that idea and they reason that idea to you, you are going to charge them, most of those ideas will start reducing. They will start sleeping very well in the night. Okay, so do not be scared to charge them. Tell them that if you want this feature, this is how much it's going to cost. If they like, let them say anything they want to say. Communicate it professionally and firmly, in such a way that you are not insulting them. Because I have a friend, he's a freelancer too, but he's very hot-headed, you know. And whenever situations like that come, he starts even insulting the client sometimes. And I've spoken to him severally, but he doesn't listen. Currently now, he doesn't even really have people that are interested to work with him. I'm not saying that he's in the wrong, but this is where that communication comes in. You need to know how to speak to somebody professionally and firmly. Even if you don't know how to do that, maybe you're very annoyed, take some time off, cool off, and figure out a way to write your message. Because there are some people that are, I've had a client, there was a time something happened and I was not with my phone, and I got my phone and I saw like 20 missed calls. I could not believe it. This is from a client though. This is not from a lady. I was like, listen, I'm in a relationship with. This is a client that called me 20 times in the span of, I think, 5 minutes. I just left to get something that come to get my phone, right? So I had to, normally if somebody sees that they are already pissed off, like why would you be doing something like that? So I had to call, and it was not like there was anything dangerous, because I got scared. Maybe something happened or something. Well, it just that he had an idea of what he wanted. I was like, why, in my head, though, not me telling him, I was like, why call me 20 times? So I had to tell him this is how much it's going to cost. I'm talking to you now. Till today, I've not heard from him regarding working on that idea. that he was saying he had on a project that was 95% done. Do you get? So do not be scared to charge them. It's going to keep your mind at peace. Your blood pressure would even not be high, because sometimes they have a way of making your blood pressure high when they are requesting for all these crazy, crazy things and disturbing you. Now, another skill, I've said three skills now: patience, communication, and knowing when to charge. The next skill I want to discuss with you today is spacing out your work. Don't be greedy. I've been greedy before. It has hurt me, it has destroyed me, it has not destroyed me like, but it has gotten me to the point whereby, man, I almost wanted to quit what I was doing. And the truth is, it was my fault. You need to know how to space your work, the way you do work. And even till today, I find it very difficult to learn how to space my work, even till currently till today. But I'm getting better as time progresses, which is why I say freelancing is a lifestyle, because after a while you start getting stronger, you develop this skill, you know how to do that. But spacing out your work means don't take seven projects at the same time and think you are superhuman, that you can do all of them. They are paying you for this. Let me take as much as I can. I don't know when the next project would come. It took me a while to understand that I was looking at it from a scarcity mindset. I was looking at it like, if I don't take this project, somebody else will take it, and I don't know if the next project would come. You have to look at freelancing with so much abundance. These people are looking for you in most cases, right? So even though they say you think that you can handle seven projects at a time, if you can and you know that you can comfortably do that, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say with this particular skill is know your limit. If your limit, like me for example, I can't take more than seven projects at a time. But it took me over 8 years to figure that out. Because there was a time I took almost 10 projects, and I wanted to go crazy because I was not sleeping, I was working on I want to keep it scheduled. I had to refund some people's money back. I had to do some refunds because at the end of the day, I was not able to do it, and I've already started working on some of those projects that I did refund to her. So had it been, I stuck to my. Anyway, by that time I didn't even know it was seven that was my limit. I didn't mean I stuck to that limit. There is no way that time I had spent working on those projects that I had to refund, I would not have done it. So know how to space the project, even when let's say for example a project is given to you, right? Like for example, I do space or give updates to my client once a week. And I think I explained this part in the patient side. If that project, you have gone through it, you've looked at it, and you feel like this project is going to take me comfortably a month to get it done, which is 4 weeks. If the client is telling you that he wants it done in 2 weeks, please do not bother yourself by trying to convince the, like trying to be in alignment with the client to get it done in 2 weeks, because this most of the time, I'm telling you for a fact, this they they don't really care that much about you in terms of they care about you as a human, but in terms of that project, they want that project done as quickly as possible, and they are not looking at it from your own angle in terms of what are you going to put in the creative process, how are you going to think about the project, setting up your structures and everything. No, their own is, I just want this project done, right? So know how to space it. If they say 4 weeks, if you believe it's 4 weeks rather, stick to that 4 weeks. Don't try and bend your 4 weeks because somebody is now telling you they want it done in 2 weeks. Now, if you want to bargain with it, this is what I usually do. If they keep insisting on 2 weeks, you tell them that if you want it in 2 weeks, you're going to pay this and this amount extra. That is something like you can use as motivation. So let's say, for example, you are charging them 1 million for 4 weeks, 250,000 per week, right? Now, if they insist on it being 2 weeks, you now say, if you want it to be done in 2 weeks, you are going to pay 1.5 million. Most of the time, in fact, 99% of the time, they are not even going to want to do that. That is how you can know if somebody is serious or not. So I use this a lot, and most times they will just leave you be and say, okay, let's do it for 1 month, and I'll just be laughing in my mind because sometimes it's just manipulation, right? Now, the final skill I want to talk about is the ability to say no. Hmm. Now, if you are a person that does not know how to say no, I would not don't even bother entering into this freelancing thing. Because freelancing sometimes is saying no is one of the biggest things you would have to know how to do. You have to say no. I added it here. I mean, I don't even know if it is a skill or not, but I was one of those people that would just be like, okay, yes, let's do it. Yes, somebody will reach out to you, tell you, let's work on the project. You take 30% equity, 40% equity. I have the idea. Do. They will just relax and give you idea, and you slave yourself working on the project, and you don't even know whether this project is going to work or not, and it's just gamble, so when I was starting out as a freelancer, I used to fall for that thing. But now, there is no way, there is nothing you can convince me. Go, if you want me to work on it and take equity, you pay me and give me equity too. So the whole ability to say no is very, very important. You need to know how to say no all the time. All the time that, in fact, if a client reaches out to me and I'm not feeling the vibe of that client, I know what I'm about to say is very weird. Let's say they're about to pay me 10 million, but I'm not just like, it happened to me like 2 weeks ago. So a lady reached out to me for a project, but she was answering me like I am a slave or a servant boy. I don't know. She was like, she was answering me like she had authority over me, and she was willing to pay me a very, very big amount of money, but I said no because I just didn't feel comfortable. You will not call me on the phone, and little things you pick up on it. I don't know. Earlier on, I did not believe in all those vibe things, but in that particular instance, I really did pick up on it. She did not, her request and the way she spoke to me, and there was no atom of respect in in her communication, and there was no way I'm going to work with somebody that doesn't even respect me doing the work, because she kept on answering and speaking in a very condescending way, right? So even though she was willing to pay a good amount of money for that project, I had to say no to that project because I knew that it's just going to be something that I'm going to. When they say people are selling their souls, in my own opinion, though, I don't believe that they are actually selling their souls in terms of maybe giving it to the devil. What I think that really means is, let's say somebody gives you a lot of money for a project, but your heart is not in it, your mind is not in it, your soul is not in it. You feel weird working. In fact, the thought of working on that project is driving you insane. That is what they mean when they are saying you're selling your soul, in my own opinion. And it happens a lot in freelancing. Somebody that might give you a good amount of money, or a money that you might feel is good, because to somebody 10 million may not be a big amount of money. To somebody it's 25 million. So somebody might give you a good amount of money, but your soul is not in it, your spirit is not in it. You feel weird about it. Thinking about that project is grinding you. It has happened to me before. And you end up seeing that you are not happy. And it affects everybody around you. Let me give you an instance. This is another example of what I'm trying to say, the ability to say no. I had a client once in 2019. The client started out cool, everything was great. And if I work, he gave me a project to work on, and I was working on the project. As I was working on the project, if I give him an update, the review he's giving back to me is 3 times more than even the work he's paying for. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you, but it was driving me insane. If I work on the project and he'll bring back a review that is crazy, like you put it in Google Doc, you arrange it very well, format it well, like I was God, I suffered during that period, and you expect me to do it, and he was so smart with it because in a way it falls into the project scope, in a way it doesn't fall into the project scope. So you're now like, how do you can't really know where to set the charge or put the money. He was very, very smart with it and very, very conniving. He was, I don't know how to explain. Some people are that smart. After a while, because I've already worked on that project for so long. I'm telling you, a project from 2019 down to 2022, I mean even 2023. It got crazy because I kept on telling him, why don't you launch this part? Why don't you? You see, he wanted to do a very big site. At the point, I could not take it. No, I could not take it. I had to refund him. I had to refund him his money back. I was like, because I could, just the thought of me thinking about his project it kills the entire day for me. Can you imagine that kind of situation? I could not. It was no longer worth it to me. No. And he was, yes, I know he was annoyed or he was not happy about the whole thing. But in freelancing, sometimes you need to choose yourself first. In fact, in most cases, that is the best thing I'll tell you to do, right? You need to be able to choose yourself first. If not, you end up, how do I? Freelancing has momentum, it has compound interest. You end up losing all your investments because the longer you stay in freelancing, the more money you make. In a smart way, though, if you are not, don't keep doing the same thing all the time, but the longer you stay, the better your reputation, the easier it is for referrals. Like, I stopped running ads recently. Maybe I'll run ads in the future, but I stopped because I've gotten to the point where by now the referrals are able to take care of my freelancing needs just from referrals alone, right? So I'll still even discuss ads and how you can do all that. But these five major skills to me, right, are the most important skills combined with your, technical skills, of course. If you know how to take pictures, that is very important. But if you ask me, I believe that these soft skills are actually more important than the technical skills because anybody can wake up one day and in 6 months become a software engineer. It's not difficult. But these skills is, if having all of them together is not easy. You need to practice on it. You need to be the best on it. So today we've discussed patience. You need to be patient. You need to have patience. You need to learn how to be patient. You need patience is important because patience will keep you looking at it in the long term. In the long term, like there's a client that will come and meet you and tell you, hey, let's work on this. The money they are giving you is not that great, but it's reasonable, and they will tell you they will refer people to you. Sometimes it does work. It has worked for me. One of my biggest clients that has paid me today was through referral from somebody that had that same situation, right? And he referred me like back then he reached out to me through Nairaland and he wanted a project but he did not have the money, full money, but his money was okay, like maybe 20% off what I was requesting for, and we did the project for him. Then he referred me to somebody in the UK for a project, and that was it. Like it was amazing from there henceforth. So from there, that one referred me to other people too. So sometimes it does work. So when people reach out to you like that, if they are reasonable, if they are kind, you know all these things just from speaking to them. You can do, you can take up those projects. But most of the time, you too have to be reasonable. You have to be patient. You have to communicate better. You have to know when to charge. You have to space out your work so you don't burn out. Because burnout in freelancing is actually a real thing. And you have to have the ability to say no. People would ask you for crazy things. Even this saying, I'm learning it till today. Some people will be asking you for things that does not even make sense to you. So you have to know when to say no. I'm not doing this. No, leave me alone. You know. So that's all I have for you today. Bye bye.